Breaking: largest U.S. naval base on lockdown after what was found feet from it underwater. Naval Station Norfolk, in Virginia, went on high alert today after what was discovered underwater just outside the secured piers that surround it. Just like airspace around U.S. fighter jets, naval stations are surrounded by a defined barrier of protection. That was breached today, with who was able to get dangerously close and why. The naval station is guarded by sailors who work watch-in shifts for anything or anyone who may pose a threat. This particular base contains 60 warships, including the fleet's newest and most technologically advanced aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald R. Ford, the Associated Press reports. This carrier had recently returned to the pier following a successful test of new equipment that launches and lands jet fighters. There are a lot of adversaries who could try to infiltrate our military in a mode of attack, which is why it's important to have sailors monitoring the base and its 14 piers at all times. Today, they spotted something amiss in the water, which had encroached upon a no-go zone for anyone who is not authorized. The Washington Post reports, officials say a scuba diver appears to have breached a barrier at the country's largest naval base, and they have stepped up security as a result. Navy spokeswoman Kelly Werfel said several sailors on watch at Naval Station Norfolk in Virginia briefly saw the person Monday in the water near the secured piers. A security gate sits in the water surrounding the base and its 14 piers. Werfel says security teams are looking for the person while restricting access to and from the piers. Adding to the cause for concern was that Werfel said it was not a Navy diver, and they also confirmed that there were no divers in the water for maintenance. Naval Criminal Investigative Services, an explosive ordnance disposal team, and base security and fire and emergency responders were on the scene, Werfel said. According to Pilot Online, who also reported that the base went on partial lockdown. All piers are secured and ships are on security alert. Base personnel were asked to stay clear of the waterfront area. The entire waterfront is secured by a floating barrier, Werfel said. This seems like an unusual place to go for a scuba dive. Typically, anyone trained in this would map out their territory as part of their excursion plan for their dive ahead of time. This individual likely either didn't do this or went diving there with a specific intent in mind. While this could have been a simple mistake, it could have also been an investigative mission for many reasons, one of which was to see how close they could get with this covert method of breaching our barrier. This incident can't be discounted as an accident. It's not frequent, if ever, that a diver crosses into protected territory around a massive base this size, nor would anyone want to get close enough to try, considering the risk. This is the second time in the last few months that barriers have been breached. The last happened with President Trump's Air Force One. In April, we reported on this incident, which a retired U.S. Air Force lieutenant colonel said was beyond all doubt that this is a strange occurrence. President Trump was aboard Air Force One and preparing for descent when an alarming discovery was found right outside his window. On high alert, the pilot made a quick landing, narrowly avoiding what was somehow allowed in the airspace, and had gotten dangerously close to the presidential aircraft. President Trump and personnel on board were about to land in Maryland as planned when a strange occurrence took place. Air Force One had almost made it safely to their destination when an unexpected military aircraft decided to intervene and came frighteningly close to the president. For reasons unknown, a C-17 Globemaster, which is another Air Force aircraft, entered into the president's airspace as Air Force One readied to descend into its home base at Joint Base Andrews in Maryland, the Daily Mail reports. It came in from the north and suddenly veered to the right in the final seconds before Air Force One came in for landing on Sunday. Both aircrafts were in control, however. Why the C-17 crossed into safe space around Air Force One is raising some questions. Although alarming, no emergency action by Trump's flight team was required and the aircraft landed safely at Joint Base Andrews. The C-17 was seemingly granted permission to pass so closely to the president, despite the guideline of separation, allowing 300 meters of vertical space or 4.8 kilometers of horizontal space between most aircrafts, but more for Air Force One. However, the timing of the incident seemed odd. Both cases were handled quickly and with an expert response. If anyone's intent was to investigate a weakness as any part of the nation's security systems, they have only found the opposite of what they were hoping for.